Hello.
Hello. Yes,
How are you?
I'm doing fine.
Good.
I'm doing fine. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. Nice to see you
Yeah,
too. So, we're going to go ahead and get started for the sake of time.
yeah.
I'm going to go ahead.
I'm sorry
Yes,
for being late.
that's fine. Thank you for being here, though. So I'm very excited to
Yeah.
be here with you today. People who don't know who you are.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Pagidi, his real name is Gideon, and he is a lawyer by profession, a writer by passion, a chartered mediator by association with the Institute of Chartered Mediators and Counselors of Nigeria, and he is the author of his new book, Dearest Suicide. So in 2015,
Yeah.
and at the height of his final year in the university, Pagide suffered a chronic depression that led to him, hope the music's not too loud, that led to him attempting suicide. After discovering he failed 7 courses, had an extra year, and won't be going to the Nigerian law school with his colleagues. 4 years later, in 2019, he founded Pagidi Expressions, a stress management and emotional therapy firm with a vision of offering well-balanced options and lasting solutions to the problem of suicide and other mental health challenges. In partnership with key mental health organizations, he has helped over 3,000 youths with their depressive problems, with positive results alongside. Now, in the third series, Dearest Suicide is a coming of age, controversial, and evergreen book that covers different areas of the average human life, from relationships to sex to academics, religion, emotions, and breakups. So, Gideon, aka Pagidi, I
Yes.
have a question for you. And I noticed that in your book you touch on a lot of concepts and portrayals relating to gender identity. Why do you think that so many youths today are struggling with their gender identity? And what solutions would you propose to this problem?
Okay. When writing, Dearest Suicide itself, it's a series, and it touches on different aspects, different topics, different categories of the human environment and the human situation. Now, in that particular um, chapter, I decided to touch on gender because I realized in my research that so many teenagers, not even youth this time, so many teenagers were having issues with their gender identity, and it led to them committing suicide. Gender identity in the sense that most of them were guys or male, as it were, and they had this disposition, this feminine disposition, this feminine situation, which wasn't acceptable to those around them or wasn't acceptable to their family. And aside from the topic or the issue of LGBT that we are in today, there has been issues of accepting it or disapproving of it. Even in the United States now, the Supreme Court has approved marriage, same-sex marriage. Now, it is not really about we pushing out a topic of LGBT, but it's about coming to the reality that so many teenagers, basically teenagers, so many teenagers have issues identifying their gender. So many teenagers have issues identifying the characters, the personality that comes with who they are. Some people, some men, they call them effeminate. They have this female voice, and because of that, it brings stigma between them and their peers, most especially in school. So you see a lady They call the person tomboy because the person prefers wearing male clothes. You see a male having female um, personalities. So
Right,
these
yes.
issues needed to be brought, yes, these issues needed to be brought to life because it affects our identity and affects who we finally decide that we want to be, whether sticking to the LGBTQIA or not even LGBT as a, but we identifying the person that we are or the personality that our characters exhibit. So that's what made me write about it because it is a topic people don't want to go into and it
That's
leads
true.
to suicide. So that's what made me.
That's very true. I remember, being in college and having a lot of friends who were on that same spectrum of not really knowing where exactly they fit in. And I know a lot of them
Yeah.
experienced mental health issues from depression to anxiety. And so I think suicide is definitely a major cause for concern. I mean, if it's leading to people having to commit suicide, then it should be brought to the
Yeah.
surface and people should be able to speak about it openly. And so, your book is titled Dearest Suicide. How did you come about this title? Um, what made you think about naming the book Dearest Suicide?
Um, let me start by saying that the way I write and the pattern with which I write, I call it expressions because it's about expressing the thoughts in the mind, the ideologies I have, or the things that I'm unable to share with other people. But I know that these things are things that I need to speak out. So I decided to express myself in writing. And in expressing myself in writing, I chose a particular writing pattern. I didn't learn it from anywhere. It was in the process of writing that that came about. Now, if I would remember vividly well, in 2019, while still just writing as a passion, I wrote about suicide, and it was quite good. I saw that the reactions to it was wonderful, so that's what made me bring up the book. Now, the main story was that, and now while trying to convert it into a book, and I had a second episodic issue with suicide, and it affected me badly. How I came about the word title Dearest Suicide was that I imagined talking to suicide as a person that why are you doing this thing that you are doing? And why is it that you are unable to explain to the society the reason for your actions? Because the society condemns suicide, assuming suicide is a persona, is a person. Because just like the devil, we only accuse the devil. We've not seen the devil. We don't even know. We are all on God's side, but nobody is on the devil's side. So I wanted to speak for suicide and give people a reason why suicide is killing people. Because suicide will continue to happen. People would always have a reason to want to kill themselves. So I was challenging suicide to come out and let us know why he's doing what he's doing or why she's doing what she's doing. And at the same time, accusing suicide for killing the precious lives that we still needed to be with us. That was the reason behind titling Dearest Suicide.
Wow, that's really, I mean, it's beautiful to think about the fact that you can speak to this thing that comes off a bit as a spirit. It comes off a bit as a spirit because,
Yes.
like you rightly stated, we can't see it, but we know it does exist. It's there. It's
Mhm.
contributing to a lot of people dying. And so, thank you for sharing that. I really, really, really love the title. Now, as we move on to the actual suicide itself, I want you to tell us a bit about it. Now, what are some of the warning signs of suicide? And when do you think a person should take action to prevent a potential suicide from happening? But let's start with the
The
let's start
warning
with the first.
signs
Let's
of
start with the
suicide.
yeah. Let's know that first. I think
Okay.
that's very important. Yeah.
I would I would speak from the African perspective and at the same time the Western perspective. For
Okay.
the Western world, mental health and suicide is something that has been there all along. So they've come to the reality of, in fact, it feels like a normal thing there that someone can just wake up and decide to kill themselves or kill herself due to maybe depression or issues. Sometimes we don't even know why they commit suicide. And sometimes they will prepare it, write suicidal notes and all that. But in Africa, Nigeria especially, being a Nigerian, it took a very, very long time for people to come to the reality that depression exists or the reality that suicide exists, such that even when the signs are coming up, we don't see it, so we can't spot it, we can't accept it, we can't acknowledge it. For example, in the family setup, a father um, maltreating the children, they're already having depressive signs. But because they are children, if they try to react, they say the children are rebelling against the father. In terms of academics, you're already failing a number of times, maybe mathematics, for example. And what the school or the class teacher is just saying is that you don't know book, you are not intelligent. The signs are there, but they are not spotting the signs because they don't accept that depression exists or that there's something called anxiety or stress and all those kind of things. So when these things happen over time, and time is not something that can be measured. It could be 1 week, it could be 1 month, it could be 1 year. Sometimes it could even be 10 years. That's why you could see some people, they will tell you that they are partnering something up to adulthood, but because they didn't have anybody to share it with. So for the Western world, they are easily able to spot out depression um, or the signs of suicide. They're easily able to spot it out and they immediately admit you to go for therapy or take antidepressants, drugs, and all this kind of thing. So it can be easily seen because you begin to withdraw from those around you. Sometimes you may even lose appetite. Sometimes you just don't want to have anything to do with anyone. You begin to think of suicide as the only healing you need. That's why in my book one, I titled the byline for this is when suicide becomes the healing you need. And for book two, I titled it Sometimes Death Becomes the Only Option. So the science keeps on building to the extent that you begin to see death as the only option you need to survive, meaning that you just want to take death. So those are one of the signs to suicide. Withdrawal is a major sign because the person is unable to share his or her thoughts or feelings with those around him. The person withdraws from those. Sometimes it could be loss of appetite, just wanting to close things up, wanting to excuse himself. Almost every time they will just be saying that I wish I was not here. I wish I was not born. I wish I'm not alive. I wish I have to go. So those when people begin to say those kind of things over time, then you should know that something is wrong. Yeah.
That's interesting to me because, I've often heard or rather read about people who had sort of exhibited these signs of suicide, but no one took notice of it, right? And so,
Yes.
is any of this different when the person you're considered, or rather the person you're concerned about, is passively suicidal, where, they're not planning on attempting suicide, but they're engaging in behaviors that put them in danger, like intentionally not taking a needed medication or driving without a seatbelt or abusing drugs or other things that
Okay.
could result in death? Would you say it's the same thing?
Well, there are different. Yeah, there are different stages to committing suicide. Actually, committing the suicide is the last stage, or actually taking the step to wanting to end your life is the last stage. Parallel to that stage, different things that happen are one of the stages. So you just have this feeling of not wanting to care about anything anymore. You feel you have nothing to lose. You have you don't care about anything because you are just tired. So it's something that takes time.
Almost
It's
like
not something that is immediate.
apathetic. So are you saying the person is
Yes,
apathetic? Maybe they're displaying signs of apathy, not caring about life or the world, not wanting to wake up, just
yes,
see.
yes. Some just sleeping or not. Especially some just sleeping, wanting to stay indoors, stay in a dark environment. It's something that builds up over time. If it is in the early
Mm.
stage, the person will definitely not kill himself. Those signs are just there. It may be if it's something that we now want to measure with time, it's maybe in the next 1 year or 2 year. If this person continues this way, he will end up killing himself. No one actually wants to die. That's the fact. No one wants to die. I mean, if you want to use a chicken, for example, I don't know, um, even to kill a chicken or ram or cow, even at the point of slaughtering it, it still struggles for survival. How much more human? But because of that inner thought or inner belief that once I end my life, this thing that I'm going through is going to end. Or once I stop breathing, I will finally find the peace I'm looking for. So those are the things that transforms into now eventually committing suicide. And for some people, when they now take that step of committing the suicide, they don't die. They don't die. So maybe they get saved, and that is now what is called attempted suicide because you actually wanted to kill yourself, but you didn't die. Someone saved you, or something saved you, or you found yourself in the hospital, so it becomes an attempt. And some attempts, you don't actually take anything. You are still processing it in your head. Maybe you're already writing your suicidal notes, just posting it on Facebook or posting on social media and those kind of things. So the signs would always be there, but the time of taking the action could be would vary according to what the problem is.
Mm. Mm. I love the way you put that. So usually people commit attempted suicide. So it's not necessarily suicide, it's just attempted. Correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Well, I know that on page 22 of your book, there is a paragraph that states, and when it came to matters of God, religion, and the state of my spirituality, I struggled to keep up with the pace. It just felt like I wasn't going to make heaven, no matter how spiritual I tried to be. So I find this statement to be very interesting. As a mental health professional, at what point do we draw the line between faith, spirituality, and mental health?
um, when when I had my extra year in the university, I'm a Christian. Let me start by that. Although I profess myself as a non-practicing Christian, I will get to that stage and explain it. So I was born a Christian. My parents are pastors, both my father and my mother. So I was brought up in a Christian environment and Christian background, going to church and everything. And in the university, I was an executive in my fellowship. So I was active member, doing everything about God. My life was all about only books and school and fellowship. So I knew everything about God. I was actively involved. But when those things started happening, I began to have a change of perspective, change of belief. It became something as if trying to serve God was draining me. Trying to please God was draining me, such that no matter I wanted to say permit me to say, but I don't need the permission to say. There were also issues of masturbation and pornography. So those things, in the Christian world, they call it sin. So those things were really, really affecting my state of mind to the extent that I I believed that even if I try or strive to want to be a Christian, it wouldn't make any sense. Now, they are in the current age now because I am now a non-practicing Christian, meaning I don't do the practice of God and everything. Now, there are some people ask that, does it mean I'm an atheist? I let them know that no, I'm not an atheist because I believe in the existence of God. I believe in God. I may not actually practice what God wants me to do. I may not believe in that. Doesn't mean I disbelieve. I believe in God, but that is where it ends. Faith is something that, like as the Bible calls it, the substance of things hoped for and evidence of things not seen. Spirituality in itself varies. You may decide not to believe in God and still be spiritual. Doesn't Spirituality is something divine. I mean, you even practicing yoga or self meditation, all those kind of things. I mean, just trying to have a sane mind is spirituality in itself. And both that faith and that spirituality connects with our mental health because it affects the state of our mind. It affects the kind of decision we make. It affects how we take actions to things. It affects our character. It affects our personality. In fact, it affects everything. And that's what informs the decision one wants to take concerning ending it all, that there is no more hope in living. So for some people who believe that and who don't believe in that, when they kill themselves, they will go to hell. They end up taking that decision. So where to draw the line between our faith and our spirituality is something that the world is yet to take cognizance of. Even though we continue to preach about religion, we cannot eradicate religion. In fact, even if we have fake pastors all about, we cannot eradicate religion because it has a role to play. But at the same time, this religion or this practice of religion affects so many people. So many Christians are depressed just in a bid of trying to serve God. They are heavily depressed. It affects them. But they feel that if they come out to say that they are tired of serving God, God will kill them. I told myself that because I needed to be free, part of the things, I told myself that I don't mind. If it means God killing me, let him kill me because I'm just tired. And that was the my own freedom. Doesn't mean that I now go out to tell other people that no, don't believe in God. I have friends who believe in God. I have friends who go to church. I don't go to church, but I have friends who do that. It does not mean I hate on them. But when you now bring your religion to want to come and force it on me, it's affecting my own mental health. So that is where I will draw the line that, hey, keep your religion to yourself. I know what I believe in. So I think I we may not be able to totally. It is a perspective and this individual. If one believes in religion, good and fine. If one doesn't believe in religion, good and fine. The main thing is that you stay sane. So long as you are sane, so long as you are mentally sane, that that would that settles everything. Instead of believing in God and being depressed, or because you want to prove that you're an atheist. So many people they are actually not atheists. They're only just trying to prove that they are atheists because of some things that they've had with believing in God, which didn't work for them. Maybe they lost a loved one, and maybe the person was cancerous, and they prayed and prayed and believed that God is going to heal, and God didn't do it. And like it means there is no God. So there, it has to do with an individual drawing the line between his faith, spirituality, and the mental health.
Wow. That's wow. I mean, I have not looked at it that way, but thank you. You are absolutely correct. I think there needs to be a line drawn when religion is sort of driving you to that, that state where you're no longer sane. It's like, oh my God, I want to please God, but at the same time, maybe what I'm doing is not
Mhm.
pleasing Him. So I'm going to drive myself to suicide, right? Like, no, there needs to be a line drawn to that. Thank you. So, okay, so
Yeah.
theology, sociology, and psychology are disciplines that someone who is looking to enter the mental health profession, like yourself, may be advised to study. Do you think that
Okay.
for spiritual and religious disciplines, it is also important for a person to be trained to look at certain things through the eyes of a skeptic?
Like I said in the last explanation, I said that we cannot totally eradicate religion because it has its role to play.
Mm-hmm.
Just like politics, education, tradition, culture. So if there was no theology, we would have not been able to appreciate the difference between um, who Satan is, who Lucifer is, who Baphomet is. If there was no theology, we would not be able to appreciate the difference between maybe who God is, who Holy Spirit is. Now,
That's right.
that is on the theological part. Now, for psychology, if there is no psychology, we will not be able to distinguish between someone who is having a mental health crisis and someone who is just sick. I don't know
Mm.
if you get that point.
Yeah.
We will not be able to appreciate the difference because we will just feel this person is sick. Meanwhile, the person just doesn't have money. If
Mm.
money comes into the account of the person feels well. And there are some people, they actually have the money, but what they need is relationship. So because there is no
Mm.
relationship, maybe they are not married, they are thinking they are downcast and all this kind of thing, which is highly psychological. Just like we know of emotional intelligence, there are some people they don't know how to deal with people's emotions. They don't
Mm.
know where to speak kindly to someone. They don't know where to say yes. They don't know when to say no. They don't know how to be kind. I mean, if we are kind, if we are all kind, well, if we are all kind, the world won't be meaningful because we need both the good and the bad. But psychology helps us appreciate things like clinical depression, things like cognitive behavior, and all those other sort of things. For someone like me now, I still want to study psychology because with that, I'm going to have the certification, the professional qualification to be able to do what I do. What I do is just a raw talent, which still
Mm.
needs to be brushed up. So, yes, theology is good, but at the same time, one still needs to get psychology, and you cannot push away one for the other. If you
Mm-hmm.
are going for theology, good for you, but and if you are going for psychology, good for you. But there's a place where you would have to merge the two because it will have its own role to play in speaking with someone. And something else I want to add is that there are some professionals who now take things too far in that because of their theology, they now use their theology in administering psychology or therapy to someone. The
Mm.
person comes to you with maybe let's use sexual sin for example. What theology will cause, but the person just dealing with sexual difficulty. Now you are not fully going to the root of it. You are just telling the person that hey, don't have sex. God does not want us to have sex. No, that is not what you are supposed to be. You are bringing in your theological dealings with the person when you are supposed to use your psychological. There's a way of distinguishing that. So we cannot totally eradicate theology and psychology, but we need both to survive.
That's interesting. So both need to coexist in a way, both theology and
Yes,
psychology. Okay. Well, noted. Thank you
yes,
for that. I plan on going back to school in the future, and I was thinking about going for theological studies, but then a part of me wanted to go into sociology, and then I was like, "Ah, let me think about this first, because like you said, one cannot exist without the other. We can't have theology without psychology and
yes,
psychology without sociology. So all three must coexist to have a fully functional understanding of how the brain works, how the world works, and how society works, right? Is that what you're saying?
yes. Very, very,
Okay,
very true. Yes.
good, good. Okay. So, what should a person do now if they're worried that someone is in imminent danger of suicide? What should they do if they're worried maybe their friend or family member
Well,
might be committing suicide soon?
we all worry. We all worry. And in fact, I don't want to use the word we all worry now. I would say we all have a negative um, disposition to suicide. That was why, in writing the book, for those who would look deeper into the book and not just on the surface line, you see that I was addressing both suicide and the society.
Mm.
Yes, it is sad to actually lose a loved one to suicide. It's sad because death in itself means you're not going to see the person ever again. Now realizing that what made the person go is because the person took his life as a result of this and that. And I cannot just come out to say, hey, if you want to kill yourself, kill yourself. No, I cannot just come out to say that. But be that as it may, when we speak about suicide, what we tell people is say no to suicide, speak out, say no to suicide. But are we really telling people to say no to suicide or to understand their
Trauma.
the roots of their problems? Yes, thank you, the roots of their traumas. Because it's not just about saying no to suicide. For some, they would actually not kill, even if they are processing these thoughts, they will still not kill themselves if they have someone to speak to or someone to listen to them. So when we are worried, we are naturally agitated because we just hear the word, oh, it's suicide. If it was sickness, we may not be worried. Okay, go and take drug and this and that. But because it's suicide, like, no, you yourself first calm down because you need to be calm before you can address or make someone calm. If you want to put off a fire, the firefighter has to be calm first. He's not someone that will be agitated because when you're agitated, even the fire will engulf you.
That's
So,
right.
in yes, so in trying to help someone who is suicidal, listen. That's why there's something called psychotherapy. Psychotherapy is the easiest form of helping someone. And what it means is that the person is talking about what he's going through, and you, with your 2 ears, listening fully without a haste or rush to want to advise the person back. Most times, what we want to do is to advise, to give a suggestion, a solution. Sometimes these guys they know the solution to their problems, but they just want to voice out their pain. And if they are unable to voice out their pain, they would go ahead to take their decision. And because they are voicing out their pain, we feel their pain is not valid. So we invalidate their pain and it makes them more angry. So if we are able to listen to what they are going through, it helps them to be pacified because they will know that someone is listening to them. And when they are pacified, if they are at the cross, let's assume they want to jump into the lagoon. The decision is still with them, not with you. Because even if you want to help them to jump and not to jump to the lagoon, what if you cannot swim and they jump and you fall inside and they can swim? Then they survive and you are down.
Right. It's counterproductive. That's
So
true.
yes, so you calm down first. Don't see suicide as a problem. Suicide is not the problem because their feelings are valid. Suicide will continue to happen. Suicide is just a decision. It's a decision like any other decision that one wants to make because of the things we are going through. So when you see suicide as not being a problematic nor a bad thing, you will be able to help the person um, with what the person is going through. So if you are calm and you listen to what they are going through, it will help them not to take their life. For some, they may still take their life later because, like I've shared in the book, we saw some people they had 2 or 3 attempts before they ended up in. So, but to help someone, calm yourself and listen. Give the person your ears, and hopefully, like because I spoke about that in the book 3, that hopefully to the suicidal person would also be able to calm and listen when it is time, because the suicidal person has now poured out himself or herself, has released something. At some point in time there will still be a need for advice or suggestion. So hopefully the suicidal person also listens when the advice comes.
Hmm. This is this is really, really, I don't know, for lack of words, I think this is something that everyone needs to listen to, because oftentimes, like you rightly stated, we
Yeah.
want to offer advice where it's not needed, right? These people know exactly what not to do. They know what not to do, especially
Mhm.
those who do still go ahead with it. They know they're not supposed to do it because they have loved ones they're leaving behind, but yet they still do it. So I
Yeah.
think, like you rightly stated,
Yes.
listening, trying not to offer advice is the number one thing that a person should not do, right? Like, what are some things people
Yeah.
should not do if they're worried that someone is in danger of suicide?
Yes.
What are some things
Okay.
that you
What
say not to
they
do?
should not
Because
do?
from what you stated before, I think I gathered
Yeah.
basically don't offer
Don't
advice.
don't don't be in a haste. Yes. Don't be in a haste to offer advice. Don't be in a haste to tell them that I know how you feel, because no matter how much you know how they feel, you don't.
You
Even if
don't.
your
Yes,
problem is more than theirs, the feeling
that's
is
true.
not the same. It's like fingerprints. They are different fingerprints. So even if your problem is more than theirs, their own problem is still valid. So don't
Mm.
tell them I know how you feel, or why don't do this. Suicide is not the solution to your problems. They know suicide is not the solution, so you don't have to remind them about
I'm
that.
so sorry.
So
It's
don't.
just I'm laughing because I'm laughing because I feel like sometimes these things come off in a sort of automatic pilot way. It's like you say it, but you're not really thinking about what you're saying, right? It's like, oh no, don't
Yes.
do it. But it's like, who are you to tell me
Mm-hmm.
not to do what I've already made my mind up to do, right? It's like
Oh, you
that's just
you understand?
not the right way to go about things at all. And sometimes
Mm.
people will even try to quote the Bible. They'll try to quote the scriptures. And I'm a
Yes.
Christian. I believe in God. And I know at the time where I was going through my own depression, that was the last thing I wanted to hear, because I was so mad at
Mm-hmm.
the state of the world. I was mad at the state of the world. I was mad at God, because I thought, why would you let the world be this way if you truly are God? And so, you have these
Yeah.
thoughts that are not really good thoughts. And so the last thing you want to hear is someone trying to impose their religion on you, or trying to offer you
Mm-hmm.
advice based off of their own perspective. It's like, no, I'd rather you just listen to me and get where I'm coming from. So yeah, that's really good. Okay, so what would you say is the single most important thing a person can do to help someone who may be in danger of suicide?
I believe so much in communication. Um,
I do too.
I
I
believe
do
so much in
too.
communication,
Thank you.
and communication varies. For me, what saved me from um, ending my life was that I was communicating to myself. I was unable to communicate to those around me. I was
Hmm.
communicating to myself by writing.
Sorry,
There are so many people who have.
I
Okay.
have I have someone here who wants to say something. Hold on.
Okay.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so he just said the suicide is a temporary. Okay, it's a temporary solution.
Solution. Yes,
It's a
to a
permanent
permanent.
solution to a temporary problem. Do you
To a
do would you
temporal.
do you see it
Yes.
that way?
Of course, yes. It's a permanent solution to a temporal problem, because the depending on the problem, there are some problems that when you hear them, you would agree to why the person committed suicide. Take for example,
Mm,
someone going through dementia, who is losing
mm,
his mind, and maybe the person is old. Even as he's living, he's feeling worthless already. So why not
mm,
just go? But there are some problems. No, not some. There are so many problems that are temporal. They are not permanent. So why end your life for it if in the next 2, 3, 4 years things can still be better for you?
Change. Yes.
Understand? Yeah.
And I think,
And change is something
that's
that
where
is
faith comes
constant.
in, right? That's where faith comes in. I know you said you're not religious,
Yes,
but I think faith doesn't necessarily apply to religion. It's a way of life, right? It's a way
of course.
of seeing
Yes,
things. Okay.
yes,
Okay. So back to
yes.
our
Yes,
question.
I strongly believe in. Okay,
Go. Oh no. I go ahead and finish. I wanted.
okay. I strongly believe in faith because, for example, this is 2022. It's been a 7 years journey because the journey started in it was in the year 2015 that I first wanted to kill myself. And if I had done that, where I am today, right now, even speaking to you, wouldn't have been possible. So, and it's because I believed in myself, which is faith, and I appreciate God for that. Because, yeah, so faith is something that can still help someone, not killing himself or not ending life. Let's go back to your question.
Okay. So
Please
so
take your question again so that I will refresh my
okay.
memory.
Of course. Of course. Okay, so what would you say is the single most important thing a person can do to help someone who may be in danger of suicide?
Okay, yes, that was where I was talking about communication. Yes, that was where I was talking
Okay.
about communication. If we have someone there for us,
Mm-hmm.
we are not going to end it. It's because most times we believe there is no other person that can
Mm-hmm.
help us or that can be or that understands what we are going through or that can be there for us. So there's no other person we can communicate to. So if you have one of the singular things to help someone is communication, being there for the person. And something that is difficult, honestly, it's very difficult because this person, this depressed person, will most likely not want to listen to you. The person is hating himself. The person is going to hate you. The person might be hostile to you. So
Mm.
you need double or triple courage or resistance, love, kindness to be able to help the person. And it doesn't necessarily mean you are helping the person totally because it may be draining to you too as a person.
Yes.
That is where it will be funny, where a therapist now needs therapy. I don't
Mm.
think you understand. Yeah. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because even the therapist is now being overwhelmed, he has been helping so many people, advising so many people, but his own life or our own life is being a problem.
Yes.
So if you are able to communicate, you're able to be there for someone, it helps the person. Other things can come out from it because like when I mentioned that for some people it may not actually be depression in itself. It's just that they have need. Maybe they're just hungry.
Mm.
They're just lonely.
Mm-hmm.
They just have need of money, or they don't have a job.
Mm.
Or for some, maybe in this millennial age now, it could just be that they don't have the right amount of followers. They don't have the right amount of engagements on their social media platforms.
Right.
This thing. So if we are able to have someone, an example I can give for myself is that in the process of trying to make this book go out to as much people as possible, I was speaking to those around me. If I didn't have anyone around me, could have still been depressing. Some people I'll reach out to them, they will not help immediately. Does not really necessarily mean that I have to take it as an offense against them. So,
Mm-hmm.
but the singular thing we still need to help someone in danger is communication. If we can communicate with them and we can be there for them, to go a long way in helping them.
That's true. I think for me, one of my most important values is communication. And I was having that conversation today with a friend, and we both agreed on the fact that communication is the one thing that can solve a lot of problems in life, in relationships, at work. And a lot of people aren't really exposed to communication, perhaps due to the way that they grew up. Maybe it wasn't really a thing in their family.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so communication is almost non-existent. However, it is necessary.
Yeah.
So as you've rightly stated, the single most important thing, everyone is listening right now, the single most important thing that you can do to help someone who may be in danger of suicide is to communicate with them from a place of love and from a place of kindness, right? Okay.
Yes.
Now,
Very true. And sorry,
wonderful.
I wanted to add a second. A second is I don't know how best to put it, but trust. The word that is coming to my mind is trust.
Okay.
Trusting the person that um you are going to listen to what the person is saying, and trusting yourself too that you would be able to help the person in the sense that if you are scared, you would not be able to be there for the person. The person needs help. You are not the one that is the person that needs help. So if you are scared or agitated, you will not be able to give in your best. So trust that as you are listening to this person is going to listen to you. And trust yourself that you'll be able to. I mean, you don't have to be a professional to help someone in need because if we only need professionals, that means anyone who wants to go, just like you want to commit suicide, you have to dial 911. For in Nigeria, for example, where do you want to see the 911 to dial to help
Right.
someone in need? So, but trusting that this person is not going to do this and not being scared. If you are scared, you will not be able to trust the person. And when you are not able to trust the person, you will not be able to communicate the actual communication that needs to be communicated. Because the actual communication that needs to be communicated may just be listening to the person. That may just be the
Wow.
communication needed. Just listening. Yes. The person just pouring out his mind or her mind and just listening and just hearing. You know, when people talk and they pour out what is on them, they are it takes away a burden. You don't even have to do the burden is already half done without even you doing anything. So when the burden is half done, if you now feel in the process of communicating with the person, because it's a mental thing, it's a spiritual thing too, you would feel when you need to say something or when you need to listen to the person, when you need to interject and all that. So so when you trust the person, you'll be able to communicate to the person and help the person not make the decision.
So coming from that place of that non-judgmental awareness, we have someone who posted a comment and says,
Yes.
I know two women whose sons both died by suicide. Advice on supporting moms and parents. Okay. So
Okay.
Gideon, you are a mental health professional. You've been in this sphere of life for quite some time. Now, what advice
Yes.
would you give to supporting moms and parents who have lost their kids to suicide or who are concerned that their kids might be thinking about committing suicide?
I'll be very practical. And how practical I'll be is that first practical is that I'm not a mom. So I would be unable to feel what a mom should feel. Secondly, I don't have a child. So I'll be unable to feel what it means losing a child to suicide. But in the course of my research and in writing the book, I had a high sense of relief in that the parents of the people who committed suicide accepted it that that was the decision of their child, almost all of them. Yes, they were saddened and disappointed in the fact that the child died without letting them know what was going on. Yeah, it was a difficult thing, but it's difficult to come to reality, but would have to come to reality one way or the other. That's why I first said that I am not a mom, so giving advice is the easiest thing to do. But feeling the pulse of the person in pain is the most difficult thing to do. So a mom, I've seen so many moms who have written books about suicide too, because writing is therapeutic. Writing brings healing. So they can write even how they feel the pain, the disappointment. They can write it. Yes, that can be an advice to supporting moms and parents. Yeah, thank God for that. So
So
they can write about
writing
their
how they
pain.
feel, writing how they feel in a book
Yes,
or just in a journal, somewhat like
it
a
could be in
journal.
a journal that can develop into it is not necessarily a book like I explained in this book Dearest Suicide. I didn't start off wanting to write a book. I was expressing my thoughts, and
Uh-huh.
after a period of time I saw the need that let me convert it to a book, so they can share their burdens by writing. If they have someone around them, they don't really. It will be very difficult now because the other children they have, they would not want that person to also commit suicide, so they may want to be apprehensive on that child. But love heals. It can be
Love does heal.
difficult, but love heals. Yeah, when you love yourself and you forgive yourself, because you will feel that as a mom, you feel that you are not there for your child. That's why your child did what he did. No, it doesn't mean you failed as a mom. Even if the problem was from you, forgive yourself. And if the problem wasn't from you, love yourself and still forgive yourself, because you couldn't have done more than you did as a mother. You couldn't have done more than you did as a parent. It's something that is very, very difficult, but one has to move on with life.
Thank you. Here in America, suicide is actually the number one cause of death among young Americans. And, I feel like,
Yeah.
with suicide, so often there are no signs, hardly an inclination even, especially with teenage suicide. It can be, the consequences of a split second decision, an impulse as little as minutes
Yes.
right before it happens. And so suicide survivors often they report that their first thought after they swallow the pill or jump or cut themselves, that first thought is like,
Mhm.
my God, what have I done? So sometimes, yeah. Sometimes if the attempt is thwarted, this suicidal thoughts never even return. So it's very important that
Yes.
everyone gets knowledge on this because you just never know who might be next door to you and is already thinking about committing suicide. Okay, so
Yes.
now I know you've been writing for quite some time. How many years has it been exactly?
I would say 6 years. I've been writing
Wow.
for a very, very long time, but because this expression thing,
Mm-hmm.
I would say I started because it was in the middle of this. So yeah, 6 years now that I've been writing in this
Wonderful.
way.
And so I know there's gonna there's gonna be a bunch of people watching this after, writers, authors, people who are
Yeah.
aspiring to be writers in some distant future. What advice would you give to aspiring writers and those who would love to be authors like yourself someday? What tips would you give them?
Oh, I would say, one thing with writing is that it comes with a unique, the uniqueness of it. We know of John Grisham, we know of William Shakespeare, we know of I've forgotten this guy that is writing this Game of Thrones book, George, yeah, is it George Robert or something? But
Mm-hmm.
one thing is the uniqueness of your writing. When I mean the uniqueness, your voice.
Mm-hmm.
For aspiring writers, because they are aspiring to be writers, so they are trying to be like someone. It's a good thing to want to be like someone, because for you to want to be like someone is because you see that that person is doing excellently well. But ensure your voice is heard. Don't copy. There will be there will be a sort of struggle for you to want to copy others. Don't copy. Ensure you are speaking with your own voice. Then there's another word that is very strange with not strange, difficult with writers. That is consistency.
Mm.
Every writer, one time at one point or the other in our writing journey, we are never consistent, which is not a problem because it is part of the journey. We can
I
be
know, I
very
struggle with
lazy.
that. I'm
You are
trying to be
writing,
consistent.
yeah. If you are lazy, write lazy, no problem. You are not consistent, no problem. Just keep it, just continue with it at that whatever pace it is. Don't give yourself a problem. I told you, I said it now that I've been writing for 6 years, but you just asked, I wouldn't have known it is 6 years. I would still feel it was yesterday or last week I started writing. I wouldn't know it's already 6 years. Now, in another 6 years, I can just sleep and wake up and that's 6 years. Again. So, firstly, write with your voice. If you, I know you've come across my book. A lot of times, people have tried to tell me that that is not the actual way to write, that it does not agree with literature that the writing pattern, if you see the capital letter first line. But because I owned, if I didn't own my voice, I would have struggled along the line. And I will not be able to bring out this beauty. I will not be able to bring out this voice. I will not be able to call myself Pagide expressions. So, as an aspiring writer, own your voice. If you own your voice, even when you are not diligent, even when you are lazy, even when the days you are tired, even when they call that in writer's block.
Mm-hmm.
For some reasons, I am yet to fully agree to that same writer's block because I am seeing it as a form of you are attacking the writer. May I believe if a writer doesn't feel like writing or a writer is writing and loses this thing, it is part of it.
Mm-hmm.
You can have moments where you want to jot things down because if you don't jot those things down, you will lose those thoughts and you'll not be able to bring out that beauty. Writing this Dearest Suicide, it was a compilation of different memories, different journals. I couldn't have just sat down at a goal and bring out all those words.
Mm.
So for aspiring writers, own your voice, no matter how lazy you are. That's why I'm emphasizing on that because in giving advice, you won't want to say be dedicated, be this, but that alone can be a struggle in itself because we can be very, very tired with writing. We can be very, very lazy with writing. So if you want to write lazy, no problem. Be lazy with your writing. If you are not consistent, no problem. After a while, after a couple of times, it will come to you and you'll be able to put in your best. So
Wow.
don't shake.
This
That's what I would tell aspiring
this is
writer.
this is this is some solid golden advice because obviously you are a published author. So you have
Yeah.
your creation out there already in the world, and anyone tomorrow can come across that. And I mean, that could be the beginning of something really amazing. So I have to congratulate you again on your book, and I know it's going to
Thank you
change
very
a
much.
lot of lives. Now, do you have any other projects in the works? Like, what can your readers expect from you to come?
Um, I desire to the end goal. I'm currently a lawyer. I'm a mediator, and I do that with my profession. But for the past 6 years too, because that was when I started, I've been desiring to go back to school, start studying, because I want the end goal is to be a therapist. I believe I would sink in so wonderfully in it. So that's one of the projects. And continue writing. Before, I was just writing as a passion. So now I
Mm-hmm.
am bringing out books from what I've been writing. And currently, this Dearest Suicide is in the third series. There is still going to, okay, yeah, let me give some spoilers. There will still be four, and there will still be
Ah,
five.
I figured. I
So,
figured something else was coming. That's usually how it goes. But
yes,
wonderful.
it
So,
doesn't end there.
so
Yeah.
we've got a trilogy. So we've got Dearest Suicide one. That
Yes.
was what was the title? What was the subtitle for that one?
When suicide becomes the healing you need.
Okay, so Dearest Suicide part one. When suicide becomes the only healing you need.
Yes.
Then we've got the second book, which we're
Then
currently discussing. Dearest
sometimes
Suicide.
death,
Some, sometimes death
sometimes death
becomes
becomes the only
the
option.
only option. Okay. And then we've got the
Yes.
third book coming out soon, which is going to be Dearest Suicide again.
Mental health, emotional crisis, depression. That's
Wonderful.
what.
Wow. Okay.
It's
Well,
coming out. It's coming out on Monday. It's coming out on Monday, and actually Monday is my birthday. So, what I
are you
did.
serious? Are you joking?
Yes, Monday is my birthday,
Okay, it's your
and it's coming out on
birthday.
Monday.
It's really
Yes,
coming out on Monday.
yes,
This Monday.
yes. It's coming out this Monday.
Wow.
Yes, this
You've
Monday.
al- you've already written the book.
Yes, I've written it. In fact,
Wow.
in fact, okay. Let me give a short story. Let me give a short story. So when I finished, it was in 2020 that I was suicidal, and after going for therapy, I wrote. Initially, it was about 500 pages. So
Mm,
after going for the therapy and getting myself back, I continued writing the story because Dearest Suicide, it's supposed to be like a memoir or an
mm-hmm.
autobiography, but I don't know why I'm not calling it that. But it's supposed because it's about my life and story. So I added those parts. When I finished writing the book itself, I what the pages are about 1,391 pages.
Wow.
Now the problem was how do I bring out 1,391 pages for someone to read? It will be problematic. So I
Mm-hmm.
decided to divide it into parts.
Great.
So it
Okay.
wasn't that I needed to have a series. It was just a book. So because I wanted to divide it, so that's how I got it into series. And I fixed a date for those books. The first one was published May 12th
Mm.
this year. And why it was published May 12 was because when I initially wanted to release it in 2020, it was the month of May. So, and why I chose 12 was because of my birthday.
Mm.
Now, in the second book, that is sometimes Evergreen Generation, I published it September 12th,
Okay.
which fortunately it was very beautiful because it is 2 days after World Suicide Prevention Day, which is September 10th. So now
Mm.
December 12th, I'm releasing the third one, which will be my birthday, and I'll be 30.
Oh
So it's
wow.
very,
Congratulations.
very good for me.
Oh,
Yeah, thank
wonderful.
you
I
very
can't wait
much.
to read
So
it.
now, yeah, I'll definitely send it to you. I'll definitely
Please
send it to
do.
you. And
Please
then
do.
the fourth one will come out February 12th next year.
Okay.
And the
2023.
fifth one, yes, and the fifth one, May 12th. So which will now end the 1 year. So what I've been doing is a 1 year project,
Wonderful.
and which of course is going to be a movement because
Mm-hmm.
it wouldn't just end with the writing the book. Even
Mm-hmm.
I myself have been more blessed with I didn't know I'll be able to do this. It will become a project, perhaps maybe an advocate.
Mm.
Although in the process of writing the two I was asking, are you advocating for suicide? Well, later on we'll know based on how I speak and how I talk. So that's about that for what I'm looking forward to in the future.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I already have people who are asking me about the book. They want their own copy. So, where can your readers and future readers locate your work for those who are based in other countries?
Okay, my books are on Amazon, and
Okay.
when you go to Amazon, you can just type the expression.
Oops, I think we've got a bit of a technological glitch there. Um, but I think what he was trying to say is that you can find his books on Amazon by typing Pad Diddy expressions and looking for the book Dearest Suicide. Um, I'm going to see if I can try and add him on here once more. He probably is experiencing some network connection issues. So let's see if we can add him back on here so he can conclude this talk for the day. Yeah, I think we've had a wonderful turnout today. We've got a bunch of people here who came in, left a comment or two. Okay. I hope that you all have received some valuable information regarding suicide today and how to help someone or yourself if you're the one who is experiencing these thoughts. And of course, if you have any questions, you can reach out to me directly, or you can send me an email, or you can contact me on my website at www.ericakenechi.com. So we're going to end this live, but there will be a recording of everything we've discussed today. Let me see. I think he's trying to come back on. Let's give it a few minutes here. I hope everyone's having. Oh, hey, you went.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
You went out for a bit there, but yeah, we were about rounding up. Yes. So you were saying, where can they locate your work?
Yeah, my book is on Amazon, so you can just type Dearest Suicide and you'll see it there on Amazon, or Pagide Expressions, and you'll see it there on Amazon. And
it looks like you're experiencing a little bit of connection issues there, but you said so they can search for your book on Amazon.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's there on Amazon.
Great.
So, and from there, anyone, and it's not just the ebook, also the paperback is on Amazon, so you can get printed. Because for some people, they prefer to see the physical copy than just reading on mobile. Yes. So
okay, wonderful. So we're going to have to end it here for the sake of time, but thank you all for tuning in. Pagidi, thank you so much.
I enjoyed my time with you. I'm very, very grateful.
You are very knowledgeable at what you do. So thank you so much for your work and for everything you're doing for humanity and for young adults and people suffering from suicidal thoughts. So with that being said, I will see you all at the next live. Thanks for tuning in and have a wonderful, blessed weekend. Happy holidays. Talk soon.
Yeah.
Bye.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you too.